Okay, everybody, here we are for my post-market wrap-up. This is going to be an important one. Again, have a seat, relax, take a deep breath, blow it out slow. I have a lot to talk about with you here, and I'm going to ask you ahead of time. If any of this is important, share this video. Get it out there. So, a few hours from now, we're going to hear from the President of the United States, State of the Union address. I want to talk about a few things directly related to that. As a matter of fact, most of this is. Let's start off with what happened here today in this 100% rigged in-our-face market. It's unbelievable, it really is. But no surprise, no shocked face. Stocks did finish higher across the board yet again. However, did you notice during the day, because I posted a snapshot of this on all my social networks, the S&P 500 was up really nicely at one point. All of a sudden went negative. I said, watch for a miraculous turnaround. It's going to happen. And bam! I don't know, a couple of hours later, that's exactly what did happen. A surge of buying on no volume. We know who's doing this. It's so obvious that any imbecile can see it. I mean, we know what's going on. It's the play here. It's the same 6 Wall Street banks that Mnuchin met with. They are backstopping this market. Now, let's talk further. We got abysmal economic news today. The ISM report showed that service-oriented companies' growth pretty much fell off of a cliff. Slowest growth in 6 months. Didn't affect the stock market, did it? No. That got propped right back up. In a real market, this would not happen. It's off the Richter scale fake. You will not hear a word, not even a hint of that in the president's address tonight. There is no way. Let's talk about a couple of other things that you will not hear about that have a direct impact on your life. Look, recently the United States and Russia dissolved a multiple decade-long nuclear agreement. You remember all that? Some people were kind of upset about it. Well, of course, there are some that think there's a 3D chess game going on here, but let me tell you what we found out today if you didn't hear about it already. It appears that OPEC and Russia are now going to enter into an agreement. Don't take my word for this. Look it up for yourself, please. A formal partnership, as a matter of fact, to manage the global oil market. Now, why is that such a big deal? Maybe you've heard of the petrodollar. Maybe you've heard of the petrodollar. If you have not heard of the petrodollar, you're way behind the curve, and you need to do a little research into what the petrodollar is and what it means for your life directly, what it means for the U.S. dollar as the reserve currency of the world. China is a huge player in this, okay? And we'll understand we have a world at this particular time that seems to be moving away from the dollar. The move, okay, the bigger move was the dissolving of the nuclear pact between Russia and the United States. You believe in a coincidence? You believe that just happened prior to this new formal partnership that looks like it's going to happen between Russia and OPEC? No, I don't believe in those kind of coincidences. I just don't. So what does it come down to? Before the U.S. dollar will lose its reserve status, there will be war, there will be death. Your blood, probably the blood of your children, if you're as old as I am, will be spilled to support it. There's no doubt about it. So you can see those pawns in place. Now, let's talk about coincidences here real quick. How many of you believe it's a coincidence that the president met with Fed Chair Powell just yesterday before the State of the Union address here? I don't think that's a coincidence either. And obviously there is something else going on. I'm going to tell you something else that's going on in case you don't know. They already dusted off Janet Yellen here. She's going to speak tomorrow. I would imagine they're going to parade her out there. It's already scheduled. I think Steve Leisman is going to interview her on CNBC. They already got that set up in case the market, for whatever reason, decides to sell off. She, beyond any doubt, is very effective in getting although she is no longer connected to the Fed, what she says carries a lot of weight in this market. So they dusted her off. They're getting ready to parade her out and put words in her mouth. Now let's talk about words in people's mouths. Something you are going to hear tonight and something you will not hear tonight. Look, let me back up a moment here. The projections right now for debts and deficits to continue to rip higher here in the United States are off the Richter scale. I covered this earlier today. Without this mechanism in place, none of this would exist right now. None of the supposed jobs that are being created, this environment we're in, it would not exist without borrowing into oblivion beyond our eyeballs, adding to debts and deficits like you cannot believe. Now, what our president is going to tell you tonight is our economy is the strongest in the world and probably going to say it's the strongest it's ever been. You will not hear a single word about how debts and deficits are projected to explode quarter after quarter after quarter moving forward. This is not real, but you're going to be told it is real. Do you understand? This is the grandest of illusions. I mean that with everything I can possibly say. The stock market is going to be waiting and listening to every syllable that comes out of the president's mouth. This is why he made sure the Fed is on board here, backstopping the market. Mnuchin, the 6 banks he met with, they're the safety net here behind this market. They got Janet Yellen ready. They got everything ready in case the market sells off. Of course, they're hoping the market is going to rip higher. That's what the president is going to attempt to do. That's all he cares about. Does not care about debts exploding to the upside. Does not care about deficits off the freaking Richter scale. Doesn't matter. The narrative must be that our economy is as strong as it's ever been, and that's it. Look here, don't look here. Look how strong our economy is. Don't look at how we're doing it. Don't look at how we're doing it. Do not look at this supposed, which looks like it's going to happen from my research, pact between OPEC and Russia, China as well. Look, the dollar, if the dollar were to lose its reserve status, first of all, like I said, there will be war first. Let me ask you this. Members of the military out here, I was a Navy lieutenant. Most of you know that. And I can promise you that most members of the military have no idea that part of their job is the mandate that the U.S. military protect the oil of OPEC nations. Most have no idea. This is how the petrodollar exists. OPEC nations have agreed to price their oil in U.S. dollars for military protection of that oil. That's the only reason why the petrodollar exists. For a country XYZ who wants to buy oil from an OPEC nation, they have to convert their currency into U.S. dollars. What does that do? It creates an ever-increasing demand for U.S. dollars, Federal Reserve debt notes. You understand? If this is sidestepped and OPEC says, hold on a minute, China now has promised to, China and Russia are going to team up and have promised to defend our oil militarily, and they want oil priced in whatever else, the US dollar, poof, war will ensue. Not only will war ensue, because the demand for dollars would literally evaporate, you would see inflation like you would not believe overnight here in the United States. You think prices for food are expensive now? You couldn't even imagine what would happen in this kind of a scenario. It's the truth. Understand the evil mechanism behind the petrodollar, how we got there, and you'll have a much better picture as to what's going on. I also don't believe in this coincidence as well. And I spoke about this earlier. David Malpass, this guy is going to be nominated to head the World Bank. The World Bank loans cash to nations that need it around the world. The Federal Reserve backstops it with Federal Reserve debt notes. I sincerely hope you're able to understand what is being put in place here, people. Okay? It's like a click, 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 click. You understand? So look, I am more than certain you are going to watch the State of the Union. So am I. You are going to hear a lot of lies. Okay? The biggest one is going to be about our economy. And again, understand, we're here only because of the debts and deficits that are projected to gain momentum and hit record high after record high moving forward. You can't borrow your way into prosperity, people. You can't do it. The mechanism is horrifying if you really look at it. All right, with that said, has this been important? Do you think so? Let me know about it. And again, I would appreciate it if you would hit that like button, share it, get it out here. Let's wake just a few people up. Honestly, I'm counting on you. And I love you too. It's the truth. I'll see you tomorrow morning. I honestly cannot wait.